key difference here. I use QuickBooks. You use some open
Invoice
source.
Ninja. Yeah.
Tom uses open source everything. Hey, Brett Chittum here, Business Technicalities, and now I can finally say, and I'm with CNWR IT Consultants. I'm here with Jason, because I always do that because we've been doing this, but we have two other people here as well. And first we have
Matt Clark.
And then, of course, everybody knows.
No, Tom Lawrence, you don't know me.
We don't know you.
No one knows Tom.
So what we're doing this morning is we're talking about, last time we talked about the week before the merger, and now this is the week after the merger.
Yep.
We still all have our hair, although we're wearing hats. We still are smiling. Debatable. And we're having a lot of fun. But Jason, what do you think?
It's been busy. I figured they're both down today. Brett's been coming down every day since last week. So Tom's down because today, and Matt's up because Matt lives in Louisville for our EOS quarterly. And so we figured we'd give this a quick record, give a little bit of an update, just some information about how things are going, things I wish I had done beforehand because there's definitely a long list of those, and just kind of a state of the thing. I think coming up, we were trying to do it this week, but I am not organized enough and didn't press enough to try to live stream this, which is actually good because I think we were supposed to start recording at 9. It is now 9:20.
Yep. Right.
And it took that long to figure out how we were all going to record here in my office. So we've disassembled and rearranged basically half my office at this point to try to make this happen. So it's probably a good thing we weren't live streaming.
No, that's all right. It works out. It works out. So Matt, what are your thoughts
on how everything has been going?
I
think things have been going pretty well. In general, I think they're, like Jason said, a lot of stuff we probably should have done before the first. But
that's my fault.
In general, I think that we actually, for the short amount of time that we ended up really kicking it into gear, I'm pretty happy with how things have gone. And now I totally understand why there's kind of like a slow migration process for a lot of mergers / acquisitions, because you don't want to like go in there and kind of like rumble the hornet's nest. But also it's just not realistic.
It's not. And so I was kind of going into a lot of it's my fault, right? Like the reality of it is that I think we've known for like 4+ months that this was probably a done deal, right?
Yeah.
And we just needed the paperwork and all the other stuff, which we could have a whole secondary podcast about lawyers and the slowness with which they operate. Man, I thought I operated slow sometimes. They have a whole different definition of the word slow. But the pessimist in me kept going, oh man, it's not a sure thing yet. So I shouldn't dump 100 hours before, before it's essentially ready and for sure going to try to make it work. In hindsight, that was a mistake. We should have done a lot of the work that I'm running around. I've been doing for probably the past month, 80% of my time, other than some individual consulting stuff I've been doing. 80% of my time has been spent on this stuff, and it really should have been probably it should have been like the last 60 days I should have been working on this stuff, just to try to get stuff pre-created for things like billing.
Yeah, that would have been helpful. But I will tell you, it's been a learning curve. But I want to go to Tom, because understand, what are Tom's thoughts on this whole thing?
So one of the things I want to cover in a later episode is going to be after about 30 days, maybe 60 days after the merger, is the question comes up, and this is a question I didn't expect to come as much as it does, but is, should you tell the staff or not? Because most of these mergers or acquisitions, if you work in the IT MSP space, the employees find out about 24 hours before that their payroll is switching on Friday. We went a different route and we told people. The good and bad about that is we missed some deadlines for when we wanted to make this happen, because our goal was really, we talked about happening at the first of the year and just didn't. So telling employees, I think, is a good thing. It was the downside is sometimes these delays happen and the staff are like, well, I thought we were merging. Is it this quarter, next quarter? So you end up with more questions. But I think the overall feeling, and I want to confirm this after 60 more days, is still positive about it, because it's positive now, but I don't want to say that until after Matt's had his way with them and retrained them on the new process. I want to see how they acclimate, because right now other than changing payroll companies, from the perspective of my staff, they haven't started using some of the CNWR system because in the end, and we'll talk about this on another follow-up, what systems are redundant and were crossed out and which systems remained. And for the time being, until Matt trains them, our systems are remaining parallel to theirs until it's all shaken out. So that, and once that shakeout happens, that's when I want to get some staff opinions and things like that. And it's both sides. It's not like CNWR system is dominating the Lawrence systems. There's a meeting in the middle. It's really a meeting in the middle of a lot of these. We're taking the best because both of us have been trained on both sides of these systems. We're going to take the best ones, and that's what's going to win through careful evaluation internally.
Well, I will tell you, for me, I spent that 4th of July weekend taking our HubSpot information, like all our canned messages, and moving them over because, you know, the sales train, I did not want that to stop in this whole process because once you stop a train like that, it's hard to get it going again. So I wanted to make sure that the clients out there are getting the same service and level of service that we've always given, right? On the Lawrence side. And then on the CNWR side, it was more about me learning the system. So I actually spent 4 days actually in systems looking at things. It's been an interesting week.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my mandate to the staff is that, like, look, we're still kind of in limbo with some billing things for Tom's clients because I got to figure out key difference here. I use QuickBooks. You use some open source. Well, you use some open source.
Pay my money.
Tom use open source everything.
P&L software. And in the end, Invoice Ninja isn't necessarily the problem. I can make that work completely. The problem is getting it all under the right P&L on my side. And if I do it in Invoice Ninja, that's going to create more problems, right? So like I'm in the process. We got all the clients mostly imported into Manage. Matt's team. So Matt is the guy I've been referring to, service manager, which is a slight slight to him. He's actually VP of operations, but that is a huge mouthful. And service manager is easy to say. I should start saying CO, like I said the other day. But his team, the team that works under him, they haven't been trained on Tom's side how to use Manage yet, right? So like billing and stuff's being kept track of in a spreadsheet, and we'll go back and backfill it all. But my mandate to the techs were, you need to service the clients, and we'll worry about the billing, right? Let us figure out how the billing happens. Just make sure it gets entered into the spreadsheet, and don't not service the client because you don't know what to do there, right? Like I would err on the side of providing a good experience to the client.
Yeah, and we made sure we have clear instructions for all the staff. Always just take care of the clients, sort out the billing later. My staff feels weird about that. So they're like, I feel like I'm only doing half my job because they usually document it out and get the invoice out right away because I've trained them all on that. So not doing that feels like, are we still going to make money? I'm like, that's CNWR's problem.
Yeah, no, we'll still make money. There isn't a lot of billing that I've seen happen on that spreadsheet so far, right? So the you can book me stuff is still coming in. I see that coming in. The rest of it, we'll work it out. We haven't billed July recurring yet for Tom's clients. I think a lot of them were already previously billed, so it's not the end of the world. And the goal is to get them all built by Friday. When we do our recurring revenue run. But one of the things that I'm doing with this is we're actually creating quotes with the exact same terms the clients are presently paying in Sell. And we use ConnectWise Sell on having the client sign them for a couple of reasons. One thing I do want the clients to do is agree to our terms and conditions of sale, right? Because they, for better or worse, I think they're a little more vetted than the ones you were using. And
I take offense to that.
My lawyer would be very adamant that we do that.
Now this is terms and conditions, but not a change in like the master service agreement. They're not changing how much they pay.
Correct. It's not changing any of the material terms of it. It does change. My limits of liability and stuff like that are, I think, a little bit different than yours. But the other thing is that this allows me to use the same process that we use for all of our clients where, the things are won and Sell, they get flowed over to Manage, and they get flowed to an agreement, right? So we have consistency in process there. And my initial gut feeling was to mat it up and basically smash and go create all the agreements.
It's a great training experience
for the Lawrence people, because you sat with Travis for how long yesterday?
should have been 3 hours.
It should have been 2 hours. And it was about an hour.
But I think you learn by doing, right?
Yeah,
and I talked a lot about that with you that over the last week about I'm learning so much just by doing the stuff. But one of the things that is going to be exciting, and I'm sure Tom will mention it on his channel more, is the consulting stuff we do. Guess what? It's increased. We have more knowledge
capacity.
base. We can do more consulting. So for you guys out there that are needing some of that IT consulting, it's going to be important to understand. We do more now, right, Tom?
Yeah, I brought that up in my video. It's not that we're changing anything or dropping it, because some people have asked that question too. I'm like, no, it's like we do everything we do plus more. So
Right.
There's more people that have VMware experience that we didn't have. Matter of fact, we actually were saying yes to the VMware stuff before. We were just giving it to CNWR.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we're already crosstalk. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've been collaborating for about a year now.
Yeah, probably about that.
roughly,
Yeah.
So
I mean, we have skills on the VMware side, a pretty strong Veeam shop. So I think that's the thing you'll see change.
Right.
You guys, I think, are using MSP 360,
Yep.
whatever it's called for
But
backups.
from a consulting standpoint, being able to consult on
Yep.
some of the Veeam and VMware stuff is probably the bigger. The VMware stuff more than anything else.
Right.
And the other thing I think we bring is there's a couple of us with pretty deep Cisco networking chops, right?
Yeah.
So that's another thing that's easy to do. And
Mhm.
you have good Linux chops, but I think the rest of your team doesn't. I have really good Linux chops, and I have at least one other staff member that's really good at it.
We have more Linux support.
Some little more Linux stuff there too.
Absolutely. So Matt, what are your thoughts?
I mean, my biggest thing right now that I've been dealing with since yesterday is the crosstalk that we were talking about. Like, we were working on things together, and now it's time to kind of like split that off, and it's just becoming, it's kind of a mess. It's a little intermingled.
It's my fault.
Unorganized chaos.
Yeah.
Well, no, because we have a client that I've got probably 30-hour engagement on, right? Roughly. And originally we were billing Tom for it, right? And so we'll close that out and we'll send Tom that final bill. But in my system and manage, the ticket's under Lawrence Systems because I needed to bill Tom. That's dumb on my part. I should have just built the client out and then just made a bill to Tom, which is what I've done in the past for others. But at the time, I didn't think. I always forget you can do that, right? Yeah. So I built the ticket out under Tom. So like we kind of got to unravel some of those things.
So it's digging that out. But I also had a meeting with some of the Southgate people, and we got to go over one of our tools and what they're using for their side on that, and comparing and contrasting and like making a path forward. I'm super excited to go through the rest of the tools and go over that overlap that you were talking about earlier. And just kind of come up with a better path forward for our customers, clients, and partners.
Yeah, he posted a list in the channel, and I'm kind of curious. I wish I had been a fly on the wall at your office when that list got dropped, because I think there's like 35 items on that list or something.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
And it's basically our tooling stack. It's giant compared to what you guys are running.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall with.
Well, we're going to make that
staff
public.
when they saw
Once
that
we're done,
list.
I'm going to actually do a video on my other channel where I go through. Here's all the tooling we're using today.
Yeah,
because I did that a year ago, covering it before, and I think people always that has got to be one of the most popular questions in Reddit RMSP. What tool should I use for this? And then everyone debates about it. So
and we'll as it was noted earlier, right? Like there are tools that you were using at Lawrence that we will probably switch away from the tool you're using at CWR, switch to your tool. Right. One that immediately comes to mind is we use Bitdefender right now. You guys use Sentinel One, I believe. I would like to switch our clients to use Sentinel One, right? Instead of it's a better product. You guys got good pricing on it, and so it's not really a big lift for me to do that. But there's other ones, and we'll go through one by one, and in over probably the next 60 days, a lot of that stuff will start to shake out.
So I guess the moral of the story is you can plan a lot on a merger, and you can do everything you think you're doing right up front. But yet, once it happens, then the real work begins.
Yeah,
right? I mean,
so last week was a holiday, right? It was the 4th of July, which is why there's no video this week. The day we're recording it, because we record on Tuesday, and then it typically gets released next Tuesday. So there's no video today because we didn't record last week, but I was off Monday too. We were camping, and I'm pretty sure I worked a 40-hour week the 3 days I was in the office. Like in the office, like I had to go home at like 5:30 every day. So I was working like 9 to 5:30. But then I was going home the one night I worked till like 11 p.m. Just trying to get all the clients imported into manage. And I said in one of the channels, man, this is the first time that in a long time that I've gone home and like continued working this late. And I didn't say that in a negative space, right? Like, because that's not true. I've definitely had to go home and due to issues or whatever, continue working, right? But this is the first time that I've gone home and I'm like, man, I'm super jazzed up and I want to keep working on
There's
this
a lot
stuff.
of excitement around it. It keeps you moving.
Yep.
It's been nice for me because of what I did over at Lawrence compared to what I'm going to be doing here with the sales and only sales, because operations
is now my job.
Thank God. Okay, I just have to say that and get that out there. But what I've noticed is my thought process. I can actually hone in just on sales, and with having a team, and I can hone in on what do I want my team to do, and it's been exciting. So final thoughts, Matt, final thoughts.
I mean, real quick, because same thing, I feel the same way. It's like, I was super excited, and I mentioned this over the weekend. I saw you, and I'm not saying that I want you to work every single weekend, but I saw you reviewing those job postings, and I was like, oh man, I'm excited. This is awesome. Like, we're really going to kick it into gear, and it's going to be what we've always wanted it to be. So final thoughts though. Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait to crosstalk more and get everyone into the same, boat rowing in the same direction. So super pumped.
Tom, final thoughts?
Final thoughts? This is the first time in 20 years I've had a job. but I joke, all jokes aside, the job description is literally keep the YouTube channel up to date too.
Yeah.
So that's is creating content that's going to be beneficial for Lawrence Systems and CNWR. So I'm getting to focus on what I want. I did have only one person, for all the positive comments, one person was really angry and called me a sellout. But I'm like, I said I'm selling out to do more videos. Exactly how does that make you unhappy? Exactly. I'm going to create more content, more tutorials, and more stuff. So I'm more focused on some of that. That's part of the reason I wanted to move all the business operations side to split it up, because I kind of grew a beast that got out of hand for me. I told Matt today, I said, I know where all the bodies are buried. I'm going to tell you when I hand all this off to you, like, this is the stuff that didn't get done over time. So
Travis is going to be really busy.
There's a lot to do. And we have a bigger team to complete it now. So we were able to service things and level it up some.
Yeah. Final thoughts?
I mean, just excited. So Tom's official title, I think, is Community and Content Champion.
Community Content Champion.
CCC sounded kind of neat. He is gonna essentially lead the marketing role here, and that includes keeping the LTS, YouTube
all up to date,
good, and then some video content that we'll probably do on the CNWR channel also. I'll have him go into various conferences and speaking and other things like that. Just things that are good. I very much lean into the education. We do education-based sales, right? It's like, we'll teach you and we'll tell you how to do it, and then if you're uncomfortable, you can pay us to do it. And what's shocking to me is that people are willing to do that, but it's actually not all that uncommon. Like, not everyone has the YOLO and just like, oh shit, now it's broke. A lot of people are risk adverse enough that they'd rather pay an expert to do it, even if you teach them how to do it.
Yep. Yeah, it's been an interesting dynamic. Well, everybody out there, like and subscribe. Make sure that you follow us continually, because we're going to have some pretty cool stuff coming up here soon. So I guess it's
leave some comments and thoughts down below. Love hearing from you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Please comment.
See ya.